watch. It's supposed to be Swiss made, but nobody in Switzerland really knows where it got made. He's trying to sell you a Trump Bible. Think about that. This is the Word of God. Gideon gives it out for free. He wants to sell you Word of God, Donald Trump edition. He's got his name right there next to Matthew and Luke. And by the way, I'll give you one guess where those Bibles are made. In China. Yeah, this is Mr. Tough Guy on China, except when he can make a few bucks. Then he's all like, ain't nothing wrong with that. You cannot make this stuff up. You can't make it up. If this was an SNL skit, you'd be all like, well, that's, come on. That's over the top. No, he's doing these things. And the reason he's doing it is because all he cares about is his ego and his money and his status. He's not thinking about you. He sees power as nothing more than a means to his ends. He wants the middle class to pay the price for another huge tax cut to help mostly him and his country club buddies. He doesn't care if he costs more women their reproductive freedoms because it won't affect his life. Most of all, Donald Trump wants you to think that this country is hopelessly divided between us and them, and between the quote-unquote real Americans who obviously support him and anybody who doesn't, because having people divided and angry and resentful and full of grievance, that boosts his chances of being elected. That's why he does it. Do not boo. Vote. Listen, I was backstage here and I was hearing y'all boo. Let me tell you something. Cannot anybody hear your boos? You know what they hear? Your vote. They hear your vote. They don't hear your boos. Vote. Now, so look, I like that. Go ahead. Now, I've spoken about Donald Trump's intentions, what his concerns are. They are not you. But there's another concern that I have about Donald Trump, which is his competence. Have you seen him lately? I mean, he is out there, he's giving these 2.5-hour speeches, just a word salad. You don't know what he's saying. You don't, at any given moment. He held a town hall meeting where, now the point of a town hall meeting, I've had like maybe 1,000 of them. The point is you meet with people and you answer their questions. He just stopped. He's all like, I don't feel like taking questions anymore. And then we're just going, he just played music for half an hour. Just swayed to Ave Maria and YMCA. I mean, imagine if Jackie or I did that. Now, our playlist might be better. But it is strange behavior. He called himself the father of IVF. I have no idea what that means. And neither do you. Huh. He said January 6th was a day of love. Said it. Go boom. Vote. Said it was a day of love. I mean, made it sound like it was Coachella. So, you would be worried if your grandpa started acting like this. You would. I mean, right? You'd like call up your brother or your cousin or something and be like, hey, have you seen Grandpa lately? What are we going to do? But this is coming from somebody who wants unchecked power, wants the most powerful office on earth with the nuclear codes and all that. Now, the point is we do not need to see what an older, loonier Donald Trump looks like with no guardrails. America's ready to turn the page. We're ready for a better story. Arizona, we are ready for a President Kamala Harris. That's what we want. And the good news is that Kamala Harris is ready for the job. I mean, this is a leader who has spent her entire life fighting on behalf of people who need a champion. Somebody raised in the middle class, worked at McDonald's while she was in college just to pay her expenses. Somebody who believes in the values that built this country. And she is as prepared for the job as any nominee for president has ever been. That's who Kamala is. And in the White House, she will have an outstanding partner in Governor Tim Walz of Minnesota. I love that guy. Tim's a veteran. He's a teacher. He is a football coach. He's a hunter. Been a great governor. Working with Democrats and Republicans to get stuff done. And I just found out he can take vintage trucks apart and put them back together again. Now imagine that. You think Donald Trump can do that? Do you think Donald Trump's ever changed a tire in his life? Huh. You know, if he gets a flat tire, he calls Jeeves. Jeeves, change that tire. The point is, if you elect Kamala and Tim, they won't be focused on their problems. They're going to be focused on your problems. They understand too many folks here in Nevada and across the country are struggling to pay the bills. And listen, wages actually are steadily growing, and inflation is finally slowing. But for a lot of folks, the price of everything from health care to housing to groceries, it's still too high. It hurts. The question is, who's actually going to do something about it? Yeah, I know you know the answer, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Somebody's all like, I know. Donald Trump's plan is to give another massive tax cut to billionaires and big corporations. Now, wait, hold on. Some people hear that because I'm having conversations with folks. They're all like, well, I don't know, I know Trump's kind of crazy, but I remember the economy when he first came into office. I remember those first 2 years were pretty good. Yeah, it was good because it was my economy. Some of y'all remember what it was like in Nevada when I came into office. The worst financial crisis in history. The housing market collapsed here in Nevada. You remember that? Boarded up homes everywhere. Folks' mortgages underwater. I spent 8 years cleaning up that mess that the Republicans had left me. And then I handed over to Donald Trump 75 straight months of job growth. And all he did with it was give a tax cut to the people who didn't need it, drove up the deficit in the process, and now he wants to do it all over again. So, if you're talking to somebody, and y'all know somebody who's all like, well, I don't know, I remember Trump, the economy seems, that was pretty good. You remind them, it wasn't good because of anything he did. So that's point number one. Point number two, when it comes to health care, Donald Trump has got one answer. He wants to end the Affordable Care Act. He doesn't even really know what the Affordable Care Act is or how it works. He just knows I did it. No, that's the truth. A couple weeks ago, his running mate had the nerve, the chutzpah, to say Donald Trump, quote, salvaged the Affordable Care Act. There are a bunch of folks from Congress here. Let me tell you, he spent his entire presidency trying to tear it down. And he couldn't even do that right. And now, 8 years after he was elected, y'all saw this, he was at the debate. So the moderators asked a pretty reasonable question. It's like, well, you always say you want to, end the Affordable Care Act. What are you going to replace it with? And he kind of like stumbled, and then he said, well, I have a concept for a plan for how he'd replace it. What? What? I want y'all to think about this a second. Let's say your boss gives you an assignment, says to you, I need this done by Friday. Friday rolls around, and she says, so you finish that project I asked for? And you say, well, no, ma'am, I haven't actually started, but I do have a concept of a plan. Or, we're here in Cheyenne High School. We got some high school kids here. You should try that on one of your teachers. Papers due date rolls around, everybody's turning it in, you don't have yours. I say, well, I do have a concept for a paper. What? How's that going to go over? If it wouldn't work for you, why should it work for the President of the United States? But the good news is, Kamala Harris doesn't have the concepts of a plan. She's got an actual plan to make your life better. She got a plan to bring down the cost of things like groceries. She'll go after corporations that are jacking up prices, just like she went after big banks and for-profit colleges when she was Attorney General of California. To lower housing costs, Kamala will cut red tape and work with state and local governments as well as the private sector to build 3 million new homes. She has a concrete plan to do that, and then she'll give first-time homebuyers up to $25,000 to help with a down payment. That is a concrete plan to help solve the issue of housing affordability. To lower health care costs, Kamala already worked with Joe Biden, Jackie Rosen, members of Congress who are here to take on the drug companies, bring down the cost of insulin, hearing aids, more than 50 prescription drugs. And as president, she'll never stop working to limit out-of-pocket costs and protect your care. And instead of giving more tax cuts to folks who don't need them, to billionaires, Kamala will give a tax cut to 100 million middle-class and working people here in America. That's who Kamala is. That's what she stands for, not concepts of a plan, actual plans. Now, I got some more points. If you challenge Donald Trump or his VP nominee, Vance, if you challenge them on, well, these concepts don't seem to make much sense, and nobody really understands them, and the economists tell you they're not going to work. If you challenge them, they'll fall back on one answer. It does not matter what it is: housing, healthcare, education, paying for the bills. One answer: blame the immigrants. Don't boo. What did I tell you? He wants you to believe that if you elect him, he will just round up whoever he wants and ship them out, and all your problems will be solved. Now, let me tell you something, because I've been working on this for a long time. We have a real issue at the border. We are a nation of laws and a nation of immigrants. We have to make sure the system works the way it's supposed to, so that we've got legal immigration, which built our nation, where we've got folks like the DACA folks that I worked on behalf of to make sure that they grew up here, that we give them pathways to citizenship. But we also have to have an orderly border. We have to have it fair. There's nothing, that's the truth. We have to fix some aspects of it that are broken. Sí se puede. But when I hear Donald Trump talk, I keep on, he's very quick to say to Kamala, well, you were vice president 4 years. Dude, you were president for 4 years. As I recall, you were up there in the Oval Office. So if rounding up and deporting millions of desperate people, many of them who are women and children, if that's the answer to everything,